Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our recap of Inforum 2017. My name is Brian Inuma. Our company is Strategic Systems Group. We are a Los Angeles-based IT consulting firm and experts in enterprise resource planning. We help clients leverage their ERP systems to provide peace of mind that their businesses are running smoothly and profitably. David attended the Infor conference in New York City in July and returned with some interesting insights. And first, I think I'll ask David the question why. So why did you attend this conference?
Well, this is the Infor annual conference where they're showcasing their new products. They're talking about where they're going, what the roadmaps are. It's also a chance to connect with our customers and our partners and our competitors. So I always find it useful to go, and I always find just a lot of information.
Yeah, great. How about for the people listening? Why should this be important to them?
Well, I understand a lot of people don't have the budget to go, but if I always recommend at least every other year go there to find out what if you're doing things right. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So when you're there with your peers or with other partners and people are talking about things, or you get a chance to talk about how you're doing things, you find better ways of doing it. Maybe you find new tools that are out there, or just a different way of going about it. And a lot of times before I go, I contact my customers and ask them, if they can't go, is there anything for me to keep my eyes open for? And I always get some customers, I'm struggling with this, or I'm looking for these solutions, or I'm looking for a third party that does the following. And if you can't go, ask your partner while they're there to do maybe some of this legwork for you.
Great, thanks. So this conference, you kind of mentioned briefly about the content. So exactly what is this conference?
It is Infor. It's their big. I don't want to call it their user. They're just their user conference, because it's more than that. So it starts out originally. It's the first day is a partner conference, and then the next 2 days is a conference for all their users and their partners together. So there's a hub that's displaying their tools and their partners, and you also have demonstrations. They also have, I think they had something like 10 sessions an hour that are going on various topics. So you really can't get to it all. You just can't. That's why you often have to just download the slides and watch it. Plus, they start the day out with the executive team of Infor talking about what their path is all about, where they're going with things.
That's great. So maybe 3 things that come to mind as being prominent that you learned or observed in that conference. What would they be?
Well, the first thing that last conference, they announced that they bought Nexus GT, which is a logistics tool, which they again talked about quite a bit. And it's a cloud-based logistics tool that allows, so if you're shipping things across the country, or right now from China to the US, which is very common, it tracks it. It tracks it to a very minute level, and it helps you get it through customs and so on. But this year they announced that they bought a reporting tool called Birst, and Birst was, I guess, the company that created the Oracle BI tool. Sold Oracle their tool, went and created a Birst BI, and it's a cloud-based analytical tool. So you push your data out to the cloud, or you share it with this Birst tool, and it comes with hundreds of pre-built analytical tools, so that you're not building each and every BI tool that you need. It already comes with just a whole host of them. And they were pretty neat. There was just things I never thought about that they have. So now there was some pushback because some people were complaining. Gee, there was let me see, there was Safari, then there was Crystal, then there was Infor BI, and now there's Birst. So there was a little bit of pushback, but this tool here is owned by Infor. They wanted to own it themselves. So that was their response to that. The last piece that they had created, which was sort of neat, was they call it Infor AI, or they call it Coleman, and it's named after Catherine Coleman Johnson, the lady, the mathematician from the movie Hidden Figures, that was involved with the NASA Apollo program, or actually even before Apollo, Gemini. And think of it as Siri for ERP. So, I mean, their example, they essentially said, hello, Coleman, show me the inventory for item 123, or print my aging reports on printer number 1, or print my invoices from yesterday. It's a neat idea. I still can't get Siri to play the right music half the time, so I think they have a little bit more to go to get it, but you could see where they're going. And one of the things they said, they said that 90% of all financials and inventory planning could be handled by an AI within 5 years. And that's what they believe Coleman's going to do. So it's a neat idea. So and the last thing was they have their roadmaps, so their products. So in my case, I was there for the LN product and the visual product, and they went through their roadmaps and where they're going and the new releases and some of the features that are coming out on it. So that was exciting. And as with many ERP systems, and with the last few years at Inforum, Infor is very cloud-centric. Everything they're pushing is to the cloud. So the Birst tool, the Nexus tool, all cloud-centric. They would like to see more and more users get there, and that's their push right now.
Very good.
Those are the 3 items that I read. That stood out for me.
Great. Okay, so I have in my notes here something about Nexus GT and Birst BI, the LN visual roadmaps, and then things becoming cloud-centric.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, I have jotted down a few questions that might be helpful for our conversation. So the first one is, you mentioned visual and LN in earlier conversation. What do you think are the major differences between the two?
Well, LN is for a very, very complex manufacturing or business model. So if you're running in a very complex product, like you're building airplanes, or you're building you're building wafers that require extensive testing, very complex bill of materials and routings. You're doing it in many countries and in many currencies. LN is a good tool for that. If you have a more simplistic, I don't want to say simplistic, because visual does do complex manufacturing, but it will handle most businesses. But visual is more of it's maybe where I will say LN is a 10 in complexity. Visual handle up to a 6 or a 7. Too often companies overbuy. They think their process or what they're doing is complex, and they overbuy software. So they think that they need all these features and functionality, which add to the overhead and complexity of running a software. So where LN's a 10 in complexity, I would say visual's a 6.
All right, great. That's a great answer. You mentioned AI a little bit earlier with this Coleman product. Was there anything about IoT in the conference?
You know, there was a few sessions on IoT, and like I said, there were just so many things going on all the time, I couldn't get to it. And I did put a note to download those slides. And if you are a user, if you are part of, if you're on support for Infor, you could go to Infor and download these slides. And also the opening sessions are all online. So at the end of this, we'll give you a URL to go get those and download them if needed.
Great. I was thinking about the notion of networking. So were there any conversations you had with other users or other partners or Infor contacts that were interesting?
And that's the whole other thing where you just get caught up with so many people. You get escalators. You meet people in the hub. You ask some questions and you meet other people who want to talk to you about it later. So there's always networking going on. There's always sharing of information. So yes, I did meet with Infor product managers, and were able to ask some questions about where they're going with certain things that I wanted to know. Did get a chance to meet with Infor visual managers, and we are now a visual partner, and we'll be helping. Infor has reached out to help, asked us to help them with a number of tasks that they're struggling with, or that they need help with, and did get to meet quite a few customers and open up some dialogue on items that they're struggling with and solutions we might be able to help them with.
For example, I always think about things that originate as problems that require solutions, and kind of provides an opportunity to provide some assistance. What kinds of things were prominent in terms of issues?
Well, we have one customer who's running LN and is struggling with a 5-year plan. They're not sure how they should run LN in different divisions throughout the world, really. He's looking for some help on developing that plan and how best to use not only LN but other tools. He looked at Sightline, he looked at Visual, because he's thinking maybe LN is too complex. The company has grown in size, but they're outsourcing more. So while they have a complex manufacturing process, or they did, now they've simplified it, and they're thinking that LN maybe is too big for what they're doing. So they now want us to help them maybe look at simplifying how they're using LN, or maybe helping them choose something else that might help them with streamlining their business. We had other customers that are struggling with MRP. That I met there, that they're running MRP, and it's not working well for them, and they're having a problem planning, and they were looking for third-party tools to help them. And the one thing about MRP, if MRP is not meeting your requirements, 90% of the time it's not MRP, it's your data. It's how it's calculating things. So we had some conversation and discussions with them. They came to the understanding that yes, they have a lot of problems with their data, and it's the data that's causing the problem. So we're opening up a conversation with them to see if we can help them clean up the data and ultimately help them with their planning.
Good.
Plus some other customers who, they sat in the roadmap and they are a few versions behind, and they don't understand some of the features that are there because they're not on a new enough version to understand it, and they are now trying to figure out, do they upgrade now and take advantage of the current functionality, or do they wait for that roadmap to be released next year and get there? And in that case, we're going to help them evaluate that, but truly, it takes a fair amount of time to plan an upgrade properly. So if you're looking at doing an upgrade in 12 months, it's time to start planning and looking at those features now, because there's a lot of work to get ready to get on the runway to do that upgrade.
Every so often, I think about technology and business cases. So is there some new technology that you saw that maybe needs a business case or does have a clear business case?
I'm seeing more and more companies look at, well, the cloud is being pushed on everybody now. And a lot of people are stepping back and not knowing how to use the cloud and how best to use the cloud. So, this GT Nexus or this Birst, it was just another example of the cloud. And first, people are a little bit sensitive. They're not sure if they want to go there. They heard, it's a dangerous place. You want to put your data on it, and they're just not comfortable with it yet. So a lot of talk around that and how best to use it. That there is a good argument on it. If you start going to the cloud, how far do you want to push it? How do you want to maximize it? And I think I see a lot of hesitation from the users. A lot of CIOs want to get as much of the footprint out of their building and into the cloud for various reasons. And at the same time, you see a lot of IT managers struggling with, well, we're not ready for that for infrastructure, and the users are not comfortable with it yet.
Great. David, that's great. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us today. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending it with us. If you have questions about the Infor conference or specific questions about the Infor application, please feel free to send email or call. David Cervelli and I would be happy to speak with you. Again, our thanks, and make it a great day.